Welcome to Contractor Cuts, where we cover the good, the bad, and the ugly of growing a successful contracting company.
Welcome back to Contractor Cuts. My name is Turner.
I'm Jared Flowe.
Thank you for joining us again this week. So, today we are hijacking Donald Miller. If you've never read him, he's got books all the way back from Blue Like Jazz, and then he started his marketing and business building and consulting company, which is Story Brand, and it's gone in through. He's got Business Made Simple, Marketing. It's a really good setup of books, and his last one that just came out was about a metaphor of an airplane as a company. So what we're doing today is totally stealing his metaphor and what he's put on it and how he's laid it out, and we're taking it and pushing it into the construction world.
Yeah, and if you want a more deep dive on this, it's his new book that just dropped, which is this kind of specific thing. Is what is it? How to Grow Your Small Business is his new book. If you want to go check that out,
really good stuff. All of his books have been super beneficial. So I'd probably suggest with Business Made Simple starting there. And
we had all of our management team go through and read that for a while. It's just really
simplifies
helpful.
Everything. So we're going to take his 6 parts of an airplane and how it works metaphor today, implement it into the construction world, and hopefully help you understand why it's so important to balance all 6 of these things. Not to have most people are good at 1, 2, or 3 of these things, and to be good at all 6 of them is very important. So we're going to identify what you need to focus on, what you need to start leaning into, and why we make the decisions that we're making when we're growing a company.
That's right.
All right, so Jared, take us through the 6 parts of an airplane that are related to a company.
Okay, so I'm gonna just run through the 6 real quickly, and then we'll come back and we'll dive into each one of them.
Perfect.
So the very beginning is cockpit. Cockpit is the leadership, the direction, where we're going. The second 2 are actually the engines, the left and right engines, and that is sales and marketing. Those kind of work hand in hand, your leads and your actually landed jobs getting to the
They propel the...
That's right. The wings are your actual product that you're hoping to be as efficient and profitable as possible. And then you've got the body. The body is your overhead, the cost, the things that all the other parts of the plane are carrying. And then the very last one is the fuel. The fuel is the cash, the money that it takes to run and specifically grow the business.
And what's so great about this metaphor and why we've both loved it and kind of used it in our personal conversations about our businesses and whatnot is it is so accurate in terms of I can't have really, really huge engines pushing my marketing and my sales if my product is tiny, or I don't have a pilot guiding us and directing us, or I don't have enough fuel, I don't have the money to pump into those engines. They're dead, right? And so everything in those 6 parts of an airplane have to be the correct size.
They have to be balanced.
And the correct balance in accordance to what they're doing and how they're interacting with the other parts of the plane.
Right.
So take us through that, Jared.
Well, I think one of the things as I was kind of researching and trying to help create this, the place that I found that you have to start going along with the analogy is what size plane do I want to eventually be flying? Right? Or take that to a different level. What is success for me? What means success? As a contractor, is success, I'm making 6 figures. I'm making 100, 115, 125 a year. I'm on site every day. I'm dealing with clients and subs every day. And I love it. And that's just... I don't want to get any bigger than that. I don't want a bunch of employees. I'm going to do that forever.
But 30 grand away each year until I'm 70, 65, and then I'm going to just call it.
If that's success to you, great. There's nothing wrong with that. But if your desire is to build a business that somebody wants to buy, or build a business that your children can come in and run later on in life. If your desire is to grow multi-state and have lots of employees and opportunities and whatever, you need to determine that on the front end so that you know to grow, you have to be able to focus on these 6 things, right? But you have to know where you're going, right? So that's the beginning, is what does success mean to you and where you're going?
Well, and you look at all 6 of these. If you look at the cockpit, if I'm just getting started and I'm flying a Cessna, I need a pretty basic pilot's license that allows me to know these 7 controls on my, like I click this, I do that, and that's it. You can't take that knowledge and tomorrow step into a Boeing 747 and start flying it. You can't. There's all sorts of nuance and understanding that can crash the plane on that size of an airplane than on a small, tiny, single prop Cessna or something like that. So understanding that is saying, okay, I want to get there. I'm not there yet. What do I need to be learning today to eventually fly the 747?
Yeah. Well, the thing about the cockpit going into the first one is, yes, it's leadership, but it's more about direction.
Yep.
Right? It's you have to. I can't just get in there and aimlessly just fly around. I have to know that I'm going from A to B.
Yep.
Right. And so if I start with, this is what success and where I want to go, then I can start planning out the route. I might not be able to go from A to Z in one jump.
Yeah.
But I can, if I know I'm going there, then I can back up and say, okay, if I'm going there, I need to go to A to B first.
And
all right, let me plug those coordinates in.
Also, if I'm flying a Cessna and I'm the pilot, I can make that up as I go a little bit. I know where we're going. I'm leaving the Atlanta area. We're gonna go up to Charlotte. It's gonna be a quick. I can handle this. I got my passenger, my friend that's coming along, and let them know what's going on. The game plan isn't as important in terms of long what's going on and what's happening.
Right.
If I'm flying a 747 and I'm going from Washington D.C. to London, my co-pilot needs to know the exact plan. My flight attendants need to know how long and the food service, what's going to happen, the fuel, all of my crew filling the fuel, doing the maintenance, all that stuff need to know what plan and how long we're going to be in the air, how much fuel. So the plan of what you're doing doesn't matter as much when you're small,
right?
Because you could be in your brain, I know what we're doing, here's about what we're doing. But as you grow, the importance of building that plan, knowing where we're going, having processes and procedures for everybody to fall in line is the most important thing. And that's where things fall apart.
That's why it's important to know where I'm going.
Yeah.
Right? What is success? How big? If I just want to stay small, okay, great. Don't worry about the processes and procedures. It's all going to depend on you. But if you want to grow something bigger than you that will operate without you and it doesn't require you flying the plane, you've got to know, okay, to get there, I have to have systems and processes for the bagger to know when to put the bags on the plane, and the fuel guy when to put more fuel in there, and when to adjust the wings, and when all of that stuff has to have systems and processes. So moving on to the second 2 are the engines, the left and right engine, and that's marketing and sales, right? When it comes to the marketing piece of it, and we apply.
Well, let me define the difference, because a lot of times people are like, oh, it's marketing and sales, advertising. Sure. For me, marketing is getting people to your front door.
Yeah.
Sales is opening the front door and walking them in and showing them around and them saying, you know what, I do want to buy this, right? And so marketing isn't selling someone on the product. Marketing is getting people interested in talking to you about your product. Right. Sales is saying, hey, now that you're here, this is why you should choose us. This is our process. This is how we do things. This is how we renovate. This is how our money works. And that says, okay, I want to go with you. That's the difference for me.
Marketing is, I'm interested. This seems interesting. Sales to me is running them across the threshold to a yes.
Now that you're interested.
Right. And I think the big piece for me when I look at these 2 applied to the contracting industry, marketing, I can reterm that for marketing. Marketing is how you get the interest. I think marketing is how you build your pipeline, right? And that directly affects how your sales operate.
Yeah.
If I don't have a pipeline, I say yes to everything because my plane's not going to fly if I don't have the fuel, the money to be able to make it go. So I say yes to everything because I just don't, whatever comes to my doorstep, I know I need more money. So I'm just going to say yes to, which means that I don't really have a succinct plan. I'm just doing whatever's in front of me.
Yep.
Right. So those two things work hand in hand. If I've built marketing that's bringing in leads, that's building a pipeline, it gives me the option to stay on track with this is who I'm going to be. I'm not going to do service work. I'm only going to do bathroom and basement renovations, or I'm only going to do new builds, right? It gives you the option to stay in your lane of expertise, which allows you to create the processes around it. If I'm constantly pivoting from thing to thing to thing and type to type, I can't really create processes around that.
Yeah.
But if I don't have the marketing and leads and pipeline, then my sales is whatever I've got to be able to put food on my table.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yep. Also, you think about it too. If I have an engine 4 times the size and power than I need for my plane, all I'm doing is burning money. I'm wasting fuel because I'm not going to be able to get there faster. The wings can't hold up. The stabilization of the plane doesn't work.
Right.
So if I've got if I'm just dumping money at marketing, but I don't have a large enough wing product that I can that I'm selling, that's stabilized, that's good, that people like, you're going to crash the plane.
Yeah.
If you got a tiny wing with a jet engine, it's not going to work.
Yeah.
Right. And so it's proportionally, I need a size of engine for my marketing that matches my wing, my product, and even more importantly, the weight and the cargo and the cabin of my overhead that I'm carrying to on the journey.
Right.
So it's figuring out that side of it too with the marketing of how much do I do, when do I do it, all that stuff. If I'm a single prop plane, I don't really need that. My sales is me showing up and doing it. I don't really need a marketing arm of the company.
Right.
But as you start getting bigger and growing and you want to push the product, you have to be doing that part of it.
Well, and that I think that rolls perfectly into the next one, which are the wings or the product. And what you just said is if I build the engine so large that my product can't sustain it.
Yeah.
We're going to crash, right? And the specifics of that is, yes, the product in our industry, a portion of it is the actual product we put on the wall, the paint, the sheetrock, the flooring, the trim, the doors, all of that. That a portion of it is that, but the main body of it is the actual delivery, the experience of that product. Yeah. And if it's not efficient, if it's not, here is, for me to do this renovation, I do this step, then this step, then this step, our 10-step project management process. Yep. If you don't have that where it's efficient and you know exactly when I get this order for this product, I do this and this and this and this. If I build the engines where it's asking for orders all the time and I'm constantly getting clients in, but I can only deliver 4 products at a time, but it's asking me for 10, I'm going to fail, right? I think so it's creating that efficiency to be able to scale with the growth that the sales and the marketing bring in.
On top of that, where contractors come in with the wrong impression day one is they think their product is putting that paint on the wall, is installing those cabinets, is putting the HVAC in the house. That is not your product. That is part of your product.
Correct.
Your product.
It's a small piece. It's 25%.
Your product is the customer's experience of you doing that. It's the start to finish of what they're doing. So if your product is, I provide paint with this experience, that's your entire product.
Right.
The paint is just the flapper on the wing.
Right.
That's just part of the wing. So if I just put the flappers on the plane, it's not going to fly.
Right.
If I'm just delivering paint and I'm really good at painting, I'm going to land some jobs. But if I'm bad at customer service, if I'm not invoicing properly, if I miss all my estimates, if I don't have guidance where we're going, I don't have job site procedures of how my crews act and how we cover up the Tesla when we're painting the outside of the house, and I want to make sure we don't all of that stuff is the rest of the wing. So if you don't have that stuff, you're crashing.
Right.
Nobody cares that you can paint a wall really well. There's 1,000 guys here that can paint that wall just as good.
If you've had jobs or have multiple jobs that you get to the end of it and you have either a thought or a conversation that I don't understand what their problem is. Their bathroom is done. It looks beautiful. It's fine. Why are they pissed?
Yeah.
That's because
it.
you didn't deliver the whole product.
That's right. That's right.
You gave them their bathroom, but the experience was not good. It is
right.
all of that as a whole.
Yep.
So moving on to the next one. So that's the wings, the body. This is a big one. The body is your overhead. Everything around it, the cockpit, the wings, the engines, the fuel, all of those things are carrying this.
Yep.
Right? The things on the inside of that are supporting those things. There are the things that are required for the plane to fly. You've got to have, employees, you've got to have project managers, maybe an office manager, maybe, for the guys out there that have the estimator or the supply guy running. It's the cost that you can't directly tie to a job, but are the things required to do your business. You've got an office that you're paying for, whatever the bills are, insurance, tools, all of those things. And one of the things that I think is interesting about this that, I hope people get and understand, when we go back to the plane analogy and we're talking about the Cessna versus the Boeing, on the Boeing, to the pound, they know exactly how much weight they can put in the body for the plane to operate correctly. I've got X amount of thrust with these engines, with these wings, with this amount of gas. We can get this plane from here to here with this amount of weight and no more.
Yep.
They have it dialed down to a science. They also know it on the Cessna, but it's not, you don't have to be as perfectly accurate with it. It'll be just fine, right? But that's what you need to understand is the guy who says, you know what, I'm going to go buy some machinery. I'm going to go buy a backhoe and and I'm going to put those to work. Well, you're adding in a lot of weight, a lot of cost that you have to pay that you've got to figure out how to pay for, right? And one of the things that I look at is the optimal way to do this is, do I have enough revenue and profit coming in the company that if I add this thing, it's not going to tank us?
Yeah.
By adding this, am I spending more than I can actually produce?
Yeah. Well,
right?
and the hard part is it's never that clear. It's not like, can I bring an elephant on this plane or not? It's not an elephant. It is, we're going to add some more bags and we're going to add some more of this. And also we're going to carry this and we can put another 40 people on this plane and we can do that. And so it's little paper cuts that are adding weight to that to the cabin of the plane that's saying, hey, you know what? We could really use an excavator. We do 2 to 3 jobs a month that we're renting one. Let's go ahead and buy one. Maybe that's okay. Maybe you could put an excavator into the cabin of the plane. Mm-hmm. Do you have enough fuel to get there? If you're not being utilized on it. And so that's assessing the fuel that I've got, the wings that are carrying me, the 2 engines that I've got. Can I carry this weight? Right. And you can dump a ton of weight off a Boeing 747 and it still flies just fine and saves gas. If you put too much weight on it, it's crashing. It's not flying. It's not getting off the ground. And so,
I think one way to look at this is when you're making business decisions. This is a spot that you need to focus on the overhead, on the body of the company. If I'm going to increase the overhead, what product am I going to use to support that increase of cost?
Yep.
Does my current product support that? I've been making enough money that I can support this increase of overhead, or my current product as it exists doesn't increase that. But if I go into this side of the business, if I create this side of the business that's going to bring in additional revenue and additional profit, by doing that, I'll have the money to cover and pay for this. And then that will start growing and building and it'll actually become really profitable. Yeah. So it's just a way to look at it, but you need to understand those numbers. I think when it comes to the body of the airplane, aka your overhead, and the fuel, which is what comes next, those two are really important because they're associated with money. Yeah. They're associated with how much money do I have? Do I have enough money? Well, how do you know? Yeah. And so that's how you make business decisions. You make business decisions as a big business looking to grow to the next level by looking at your numbers, understanding what your numbers say and say, does this make sense? Or am I putting so much weight in the body of the plane that the sales and the marketing and the execution of the product is not going to support that?
Yeah.
Right. And so having a finance, you don't need a finance degree, but you need to understand your financials. You need to understand how to read financial reports and how to pull those and look for what you're looking for.
Yeah. And if Delta just said, I guess just fly the plane and spend the money on whatever you got to spend it on, buy the fuel and just burn it, that's fine. We'll see what happens at the end. I mean, as long as we got customers coming, that's all that matters.
Right.
If that was their mentality, they would be out of business by tomorrow.
Right.
So the whole goal of this is the fuel, the money that you're spending on the airplane flying is the burnt money.
Right.
That's being burnt up. How much money is left over at the end? Now, I can have a ton of money left over. That's money in my pocket.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot not have any money left over because I'm burning more than I have. And so I'm not going to make it to my destination. So the question is, how big of an engine do you want? How much do you want to spend in marketing? How good of a pilot do we need? Because a pilot that can fly a Cessna is 1/4 the price of a pilot that can fly a 747.
Right.
How good of employees do I need? When do I add that overhead? When do I need this? When do I need that? The lighter the plane, the less overhead you have, the smaller engines you have, the less fuel you need.
Right.
But it takes money to make money.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to burn more fuel with larger engines, larger everything, I need it all to be balanced, and I will have more left over at the end.
Right.
So the money part of it, that's the fuel. That's not your profits. That's the money it takes to keep this plane in the air.
Yeah.
And so we have to look at, it's going to cost me X to burn the fuel on this plane. And from that, I'm going to have Y left over from my pocket. That's my profits.
Yeah.
If I don't have that Y, I don't even care about the X or the plane. Like, why am I doing this for break even? This is not a nonprofit.
We're not going anywhere. Right.
Yeah. And so looking at it and saying, I'm only making a certain amount of money. How much do I want to burn on fuel? And how much do I want to put in my pocket? And the problem is, I'm used to putting $100,000 a year in my pocket. My plane needs more fuel. Well, we'll just figure out how to do it. I guess we'll get a loan for that fuel cost because I'm spending more on this. I'm doing more of that. The sales aren't coming in, right? Whatever it is. And so I'm keeping the money, not putting it into the fuel. And that's also what crashes the company. So,
well, growth requires money.
Yep.
It just does.
Yep.
If your growth is pivoting to a different division and you were doing kitchens, basements, baths, and that was your renovations, that was your main line, and now you want to get into new builds, or now you want to get into insurance, or now you want to create different divisions, going after, there's been a lot of times in our past where we went after a different level of business. And we realized that we needed $250,000, $500,000 up front to be able to float the money to develop that division.
Yeah.
It was just a part of it. And so there was to grow your business into moving into different areas, that venture is going to cost you money until it starts becoming profitable.
Yep. Right?
Or take it down to something super simple. And we've said this before. To hire somebody, you've got to take $10,000 to $15,000 and burn it. And you hope on the other side of it that it's going to produce, like that's going to produce a good employee who's going to be productive in the company, and there's going to be an ROI on that $15,000 that I burned to get that employee in here. That's what the fuel is. If I don't have any fuel, or I don't understand how much fuel I have, but I'm making business decisions to move the company, do this thing, hire that guy. And a lot of guys do it on the other side of it. And we've done it too. We're going to make this hire because by making this hire, he's going to bring in more fuel.
Yep.
AKA we'll have more cash by bringing in that person.
Yep.
But we didn't have the money to hire, and we put all our hopes and dreams in that person working out. And more times than not, it didn't, and it cost us a lot.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So it's the fuel is you have to understand your overhead and your cash.
Yep.
You've got to know that to make business decisions.
Well, people come to us when we start with new clients and new contractor partners that we're coaching, and they say, "Hey, look at my numbers. How am I doing?" And I don't know. Like I can't see your numbers because you don't have accurate books. Like our software, ProServe 360, keeps those numbers and books and keeps everything super efficient down to the penny, where you know where everything is.
Right.
It dumps it all into QuickBooks, so that way I can run a quick report and say, "Okay, this is where your money is." Right, and so from there, I can say you're making. This company is grossing $500,000 a year in profits. Next year we start out and it's a slow year and things are dropping off. I know exactly how much fuel we have left to get to where we're going, and if we're running low on that fuel and we're running low on that cash and saying, okay, we're not hitting these numbers, instead of crashing the plane, what if we downgrade the size of our engine and don't spend as much on that? What if we fire some flight attendants because we don't have enough customers to service inside of the plane? What if we downgrade this? What if we change this? And so I'm changing the airplane depending on the amount of fuel I have to get us there.
Right.
And so if I know that, that's how we've been able to say making it through any sort of recessions as a company, of saying, listen, things are slow right now. What are we going to do? What part of the cabin? What can we downgrade on the wings? What can we do here? What can we do there? What changes? Because all I know, the only thing that doesn't change is the amount of fuel we have.
Right.
Until we bring more customers and we can fill that back up.
That's right.
That's the only thing I don't have control over until we get more customers coming in here.
Well, and another aspect of that, when you go up into the cockpit, what needs to be happening as the leadership of the company is that you need to be creating directives, executable, tangible things that we can calculate. We are going to, at this point, we want these 3 things to happen in the next 24 months, in the next 12 months or 30, whatever. You're creating goals and plans, but you have to be able to calculate them, right? So let's say that, at the end of the year, we have $500,000 worth of cash that the company has made, right? All right, so let's create our new directive. We did that. So we're going to bring in X amount more jobs, X amount more profit, right? So you those deliverables or directives need to actually have some real numbers around them. You don't want to just say, hey, we're going to get bigger next year. We're going to do better next year. We're going to delight more customers next year.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
Yeah.
Right. So you can see how all the things work together. That's, so moving forward and closing this out.
Yeah.
We like to take this into a workshop, right? So if you're going to workshop this, take these 6 things: the cockpit, the left and right wing, the engines. Left and right engines, the wings, the body, and the fuel, right? Take those things and look at them within your company and rate yourself. How am I doing on these things? How's my direction? Do I know where I'm going and what I want to do and how I want to get there? What is my plan for marketing and getting more jobs, whether it's leads or whatever? What kind of pipeline do I have? When I get people in my pipeline, how good am I actually executing a sale?
Yeah.
Why are people choosing me? How do I tell people about my company and have a succinct way of, this is what I do and why you should choose me. Yeah. Right.
I'd even say I would start with, if you're listening today, trying to get this all together and understand your company, start with number 1, how much fuel do I have right now? I need to know the amount of money that's coming in and going out, and most contracting companies don't. They look at a P&L for this month and like, oh, we made $120,000. Well, no. You invoice you haven't started spending that money. Next month, you're going to spend the money on the work that you already invoiced. Let's get a full picture of that. We had a contracting company come and do one of our one days here with us. And for them, we don't know. We're still trying to understand the finances of it. And so they're like, should we spend on marketing? We've got a really good marketing product in ProServe. ProServe Marketing is this add-on product that we offer that's really doing a lot of the groundswell marketing for you, and it's fairly inexpensive, especially compared to an employee. We said, don't do that yet. We're not ready to upgrade that engine.
Should we spend on that? I don't know.
We don't know, and if we don't know, we don't spend. Right? That's the rule. If I don't know I can burn that money, then we're not going to burn that money. But most people say, hey, we need more work. Let's do marketing. Let's let's spend $1,000 on Facebook ads. You might have $1,000 or you might not. You don't know. So let's get a baseline of your money before we decide what size engines, what size wings, who's on the inside, who are we hiring.
And the baseline of the money will let you know, is your plane crashing right now?
Yeah.
Are you about to crash?
Are you going to get your destination or are you crashing?
Yeah.
Right. And most contractors find out about 3 minutes away from running out of fuel if they're out of fuel.
Yeah.
And so if I know over the next 7 hours of this flight at hour 6.5, I'm going to run out of fuel.
Right.
I can start changing things today to where I will make it to the 7th, to the end of this flight.
I might change my landing destination.
Figuring that out. So thank you for listening. Thanks for joining us. If you have any questions, please email us. We'd love to hear. Go to our website, ProServe360.com. We'd love to hear from you guys from there. If you want our software, ProServe360.com, you can go ahead and go there. We have a waiting list today. We launch in September, so we're ready to go with that. But we love to get you guys involved on alliance with the coaching side with us. And it's not this big coaching firm. We have a fairly small coaching company in terms of you get personalized help from both Jared and I and others here. But we are fully integrated and involved with your company, working through your growth and your airplane. So
absolutely.
All right. Talk to you later. Thanks for listening. Bye-bye.
See ya.